Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of T-Dog RC. I'm Tim, and in this video we are going to be starting the build of the Angelwings. That's Angelwings Designs Dammit E. So cracking on with this, getting on quite nicely as you can see. And main thing in this episode is getting the main wing structure built. And then we'll see where we get to after that. Just before we get stuck in on the bench, this is the first video I've done, I think, since I've hit 1,000 subscribers now, over 1,000 subscribers. So just want to say massive thanks to everyone that subscribed. I really appreciate your support. It's great to have you on board. And if you haven't subscribed, and apparently 80% of people that watch my videos haven't, then why not click that subscribe button? It doesn't cost you anything. And then if you hit the bell icon, every time I bring a new video out, you'll be notified, basically. Can't say fairer than that. And if you're into fixed wing, Bolzer, nitro, electric, a little bit of FPV as well, then you want to subscribe to my channel. Right, let's get this on the bench and let's get stuck in. Right then everyone, welcome back to the building board, workbench, whatever we want to call it. It's great to have you on board. As I said in the intro, this is the Angelwings Designs Dammit E, and I must apologise as well on the intro video that I did. If you watch that, for some bizarre reason I keep calling it an E-Wings Dammit. Don't know why I got that stuck in my head. Maybe because it's called Dammit E, and I don't know, just a brain fart. But yeah, Angelwings Designs. And since I did that intro, it's been a long time actually. So I think I filmed that the beginning of September. We're now mid-October. Quite a lot's happened since then. I got the dreaded Lurgy, the COV ID, which I don't know whether you're still allowed to say on YouTube or not, or whether the algorithm cuts your videos out, I don't know. But anyway, I got that, and although I wasn't really ill, it literally sort of made me really tired for a couple of weeks, and I just couldn't be bothered to do anything basically. So at night time I was just knackered, so I wasn't getting into the workshop. So, and then October is just a mental month for me. It's my birthday in October in a couple of days, but it's just a busy month. Got a lot going on at work. Got to go down to London a few times, Manchester, been to Bristol, yeah, where else? Northampton. So it's just a mad time at the minute, but it's all good. I'm not complaining because it's good to be busy. Anyway, enough of the waffle. Let's get stuck into this build. I'm not quite sure yet how far I'm going to go in this episode. Certainly, I'm going to be getting the main wing structure done. I think that will actually come together quite quick, and then we'll have a look where we go from there. So we're going to start with this main wing structure. And I actually did this ages ago. I put the spar together because I was going to make a start on it. So I glued the spar together. This is the main wing spar that forms kind of the main part of the plane. Let me just swing this round so you can see. So it looks like that. And this came in two halves, and I've joined it together. I've used PVA glue to join that together. I'm going to use a mixture of PVA and CA on this, mainly CA I think, just for speed, but some areas where I can leave them, then I'll certainly be using PVA, well not PVA but wood glue. Also what I want to say is I'm following Nick Chitty's video series. So I mentioned on my intro that I would be going on to the Angelwings website and downloading the plans, but there are no plans for this. There are literally just YouTube videos, and it is fairly straightforward to build. And Nick Chitty's done a great series, and actually if you go on to Angelwings Design's website and click on build instructions, it takes you to his channel and his playlist. And one of the things he did, I've copied that here. So I won't bother putting a link, because literally if you go to the Angelwings website and go to the instructions, you'll get straight onto his channel. But he's done a great job on there, and it's a really good help. So much appreciated, Nick. Yeah, and he puts it down on the bench like this. I've secured it in place with some blue tack, and what I've done is I've squared this off. So I've got two heavy blocks here, a little square here just to put in the corner, which I put on each side to make sure we're square here. And then what I've actually done is line these up with the grid lines on my cutting mat. It's actually the first time I've used these grid lines. Normally you just sort of ignore them and just use it as a cutting mat, but I've actually lined the spar up right the way along, so I know that's nice and straight, and that's got it held in position quite nicely. So next job is got to locate the ribs, which are in these two boards here. Try and get those into the shot. And they are labelled up, so they're numbered. Where are we? Why am I struggling to find number 1? Okay, so we've got 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then there's also, not to be missed, this piece here, which is like a doubler for rib 1. And that goes in here. So nearest to the centre of the spar, there's 2 wider slots. So you slot rib 1 in with the doubler, and that goes in there. And then you got 2, 3, two's right there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on the ends, on the last, so rib number 7, if you look at this one, it's got all these slots cut into it, and that is so the wingtip slots into there. So that should be quite a nice fit, because you've got this little laser cut sort of castle type cut there that goes into those slots. So my plan is, just for now, is to get all these cut out. So I'm not going to film that, I'm just going to cut all these ribs out with my knife. There is like a tab on the back of each rib to keep them sort of level. You need to be careful not to knock that off, that gets cut off later. So I've got to make sure we cut that bit out, so we can get the angle right on the ribs. And then I'll show you, once I've got those cut out, we'll start putting them in and see how they line up. And then I think we'll do a dry run, and then we can just get some CA in and get those locked into place. Okay, that's got all the ribs cut out. Took me about probably 15 minutes or so, and sanded down. Just use one of my little sanding sticks just to knock the tab marks off this. And you do have to watch when you're doing these tabs here at the back, because there is a joining piece there to the where the little laser cut tab. Just be careful when you sand those off, because you don't want to snap that thing off. So that's all that done, and I've started laying it out now. I started with ribs 1, which go in the centre, and then as I mentioned, you've got these doublers which go alongside, and then they've got slots in, the doublers have, so you can put this little servo tray in. And by putting this in like that, it just gets everything really nicely lined up and sort of locks it all together. What I am going to do though, before I glue it, is just get the old little set square in there and just make sure we're nice and square there. And then I'm going to start gluing this. Now the fit of this is brilliant, because I think, just trying to think, this is the first sort of laser cut interlocking kit that I've done. I've built, so the Tony Nyhouse nap that I built was laser cut, but nothing sort of locked into place. But this is fantastic. So it's so much easier to build it when everything is just, and like the fit of these ribs into the slots was so tight. In fact, this one was so tight I had to just sort of tap it in gently. You know, it's holding itself. It's that much of a good fit. So it was really helpful to have it all locked together like that. So let's go for it. Let's get the thin CA, and I've got one of my little what do you call it? I've completely forgotten. Like needle, whatever it is. You know what it is. I don't know. Right. So we're gonna hold this in place. Get the square on there. So I think we'll do this side first. Make sure that's all nice and square, and we'll work a little bit of CA into there.
That should lock that into place. Obviously got to be careful not to glue it to the board. And then we'll just run it down the seam of these two ribs to lock those together. Don't even need to press them together, they're such a tight fit. Okay, I'll give that a minute and then we'll get the other side done. Right, that's got that locked into place nicely. Just going to put a little bit more down this corner there just to make sure we've definitely got that locked in, which I think we have.
Okie doke. So what we're going to move on to now then is just getting these ribs put into position. So we're going to start with 2 obviously, and that goes right up against these almost into the slot there. And again we want to be as best we can sort of making sure that's nice and square like that. In fact, I think what I'll use is my block. They just push into position and they're really nicely locked in. So that's number 4. Five. 6. And 7. I won't put the wingtip on just yet, I'll just get this glued into place and then I'll put the wingtips on last. So that's looking nice. So let's get these squared up and glued in position. Right, well that's got all those glued into place, so and you perhaps saw I was just fiddling with that rib, sorry, the wingtip, so I'm just going to get this one in here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Let me just perhaps tilt it down a little bit. So, and again, it just slots in, so there's a slot here, there's a slot in the spar, and then you've got these rectangles cut out of the rib which these tabs just go into, so fits really nice. I suppose maybe with a bit of hindsight I would have been better fitting it into place before I glued that rib, but it's not really made that much difference. So again, we'll just slot that in there like that. Goes in an absolute treat. And then we can just get the CA wicked in again on here, get that locked in place. A little bit on the end there. Watch I don't glue my fingers to it, of course. Okay, let's get this one glued, which you probably can't see now, can you? Okay, well I think that is a good evening's work for me. So I'm going to go inside now and chill for a bit, and then I'll crack on with this wing in the next clip. So we'll get the leading edge glued in, sorry, the trailing edge glued in place, which goes into these slots here. Again, from what I've seen, it's just a nice fit, some bolts. Then we've got some filler pieces to put in, and then we've got like a top trailing edge to put on as well. So we'll get that done in the next clip, and also I think we'll get it to the point where we've got the trailing edge, the leading edge sorted as well, and then that's perhaps where I'll end the video. But we'll see how far we get. But yeah, for me that's great. I've made a start on it. It's one of those things with doing something like this. I know it's a fairly simple kit in the grand scheme of things, but it's just sometimes getting that motivation to come out in your workshop and actually just start it. But once you've started it, you kind of then start to get a little bit addicted to getting on to the next phase. So we've broke the duck's back, as they say. So yeah, good stuff. I will see you in a second for the next clip, which will probably be tomorrow or possibly the day after in my world. Okay, back in the workshop following evening, and I'm gonna now get the leading edges and the trailing edges glued in place. I'm going to start with the trailing edges, which are just these thin strips of balsa, and as ever the slots, laser cut slots in the back of the ribs, and these just slide into place really nice. So I'm going to get those put into place first, and I'm just going to CA these in, and then I'm going to get onto the leading edge, which is this dowel. So it's quite a quick way of getting, obviously a nice rounded leading edge using the dowel, so that works quite well. And again, pretty much these have been cut perfectly to size, more or less. I've just taken this side to the sanding block just a tiny little bit because it was just a bit tight up at this end up here on this rib, but literally probably 1/2 mil or something like that. So gonna get these, I've already dry fitted these trailing edges. So let's get this in here. A little bit fiddly to get, once you get it in a few of the slots it goes in nicely, and obviously it goes at an angle like that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get my big perma-grip block, and I'm just going to put that down there with a bit of weight on. In fact, I think I'll put 2 weights on like that, so it's pressing down across the ribs. Just move it over a tad. And then we know that that's nice and flat on the building board, so it's not going to be twisted. And then we'll run some CA into that. I'm going to cut a bit off. So I'm just going to push it up with my hand just to make sure it's definitely located. And then because it's quite soft bolt, so it will just wick in nicely. And obviously once I've got the leading and trailing edges on, should really strengthen it up. Okay, that's that side done. So we'll just leave that a second to go off, and then exact same process this side, of course. Okay, let's transfer this over to this side. Make sure we're across all the ribs. Looking good.
And then I'll just do the same thing here. And again, just leave it for a minute just to make sure that's nicely set. So that's looking nice. So now we can start moving on to the leading edge. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to, and again this is taking a tip off the videos that Nick did. I'm going to do a mix of PVA, keep calling it PVA, I mean technically it is, but you know, wood glue, Gorilla Glue, and CA. So what I'm going to do is just tack this end, tap the leading edge onto this end rib here and the inner root rib here, just so it's tacked in place, and then use wood glue for the rest of it. Obviously I'll get the wood glue in first. So I think what I'll do is probably just mix a bit up on some tape and use a little matchstick to put that on. So we'll get ourselves a blob of wood glue on here. Let's try this first one then. It's there. I lost it for a minute there. So we'll get this put into place. And then I'm going to push it up this side. Get the old CA in there, lock it in. It's not really sticking. I wonder if that's because I've put PVA. It's not sticking. I wonder if that's because I've put the wood glue on the rib where I was trying to get the CA in. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay, well it's not a problem because we can just get some of these heavy blocks. In fact, again, I'll probably just use this pushed up against it. Like that. Okay, well that looks okay there. That's touching, the dowel's touching the ribs all the way along. So this side, let's try just putting the the wood glue on the ribs. I'm not going to use CA on. This time we'll try that method again, but okay, so what I've done this side is use the thin CA, which still doesn't seem to want to stick on its own. But what I did with the wingtip side is just got a little bit of this kicker, and that seems to have done the job. Yep, that's got that nice and solid there, and then obviously the rest have got the wood glue on, and that's locked in nice and tight there, so that seems to have worked okay. Wipe a bit of this excess glue away. Okay, next little step is you've got these tiny little bits of bolts, I don't know, it's 1/32, 1/16 maybe, and they're just like little filler strips that fit in between the ribs and on top of this trailing edge. So you can see there I've dry fitted all these along here as well, so now I've just got to glue these in position, and I'm basically just sort of making sure it's buttered up using that, and then we'll run some CA in there just to lock it in. So a little bit tedious, but got to go along and do those. Okay, that's got that, and then next job is we've just got to put these upper trailing edges, shall we call them. So we're going to get these lined up, and then glue these into position. Okay, but what I'm going to do is just get that centre hatch that fits in there, just knocking around somewhere. I think it's this piece here. Very, very flimsy this is. It's already broken a little bit, this, as it's so thin, it's cross grain. But I believe that fits in there like that, and then that way you can line up these exactly. Before I glue this end though, I'll take this out, otherwise I'm going to end up gluing that in position. I don't want to do that. Okay, that's got that side done. Looking nice. Good. So let's do the same on this one. This one's actually slightly longer. It overlaps the end rib, whereas that side doesn't. So I'll probably just have to trim a little bit off this side. It's not a problem. Put that there, and then I'll get my razor saw, and I'm just gonna trim that flush with the rib. That's it. Okay, so next job is to get all the sort of sheeting put on, and by that I mean capping strips, some of these sort of finishing pieces. So it's this sheet here. So I've got to put these things in place here that go at the front, and there's obviously one for the top and the bottom. Then you've got all the capping strips. There's some inner capping strips here, root capping strips, which are a bit thicker. And then you've got another little sheet here with a bunch more. Again, it looks like there's a lot, but it's because you've got top and bottom. So I believe it's best to start with these inner capping strips. So we'll cut a pair of these out. Okay, so I've got these cut out, and I've put the little cover back on for where the servos go, just as a reference. And then these are angled, so you know they kind of where they fit. There's kind of only one place they can fit, so they go in there like that. Probably can't see that well. In fact, that one's probably the wrong way around. You just got to watch the angles and make sure you get the angles right. That's it. So it's angled at the bottom towards the trailing edge, and then it's straight at the top. And then, so we'll get those put in position, and then that will enable us to put these, a pair of these in place. So let me just cut these out and show you. Okay, so we've got these bits, and then they go like this. I'll bring the camera around in a minute and show you. So they go on there like that, just to form a nice little sort of root finish, as it were. So what I'm going to do and get all these prepared, I'm just going to sand the tab marks off them, and then I'll stick these in place, and in fact I'll get these inner cap strips glued in place, then I'll turn the camera around and show you. Okay, so these are glued in place. I used a mixture of thin CA and then the very thin CA. So I used the thin CA just to sort of lock them in place whilst I've got this hatch in position, and then once that thin CA had gone off, and I did have to use a bit of kicker with it as well, I then took that out and then went in with the very thin CA just to run it all the way down here. So now what I've got to do is get these pieces, these sort of fillet pieces, whatever you want to call them, and they're gonna sit there like that, just to sort of add a bit of a finish, I guess, to the root of the wing. And what I've done is, again, as per the instructions, you might be able to pick up there, I've just put like a little angle on with my little sanding strip. This is proving invaluable, actually. I made a couple of these, and obviously you can do some really fine work with it, but you do have to be really careful because it's so thin and it'd be really easy to break. So let's get this one glued in place, and I think what I might do actually is, let me just get my pencil. I'm going to get this lined up, and I'm just going to put a mark along there on that dowel, just so I know where to put the thin CA. So running the thin CA down there, and then we're just running it along there, and then let's get this in position like that. Make sure it's really pressed down as well onto the dowel. That should lock it in place. Yep, cool. This one's going to be a bit tricky, and I might actually leave it until tomorrow, because I can't really glue that in position whilst I've got this drying, so we'll probably leave that side for now. So then I'm on to the capping strips, and these ones, I believe, that are together with these sort of fillet strips, sorry you can't see that, these capping strips here with these fillet strips, they go on the outer ribs. So let's have a look at doing that. So let's just cut one of these out. It's so delicate as well, this the bolts are in the frame, so you have to be careful again that you don't sort of knock other bits out. But we'll just get one of these out like that, just drops out, and these are angled as well, so everything's got an angle on it. It's not going to focus, is it? You can kind of see that there anyway, so that should fit in there like that. Which it does. Now, a bit of a trick apparently, because at the front here where the capping strip meets the dowel, it kind of sits up, just because it's a flat piece of wood going onto a round piece of wood. So if you get something similar sort of diameter to the dowel and push it down, this is apparently the way to do it. So you end up with like a misshapen bit at the end. It should then sit a bit nicer onto the dowel, and it does. So that's a good little tip. So this one goes flush with the tip, with this end rib, and then obviously the rest are going to sit in the middle. So I'm going to get all these glued on, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I've done that.
Okay, that's all the capping strips and these filler pieces all put on now. I've done both the top and the bottom. Also obviously got it off the bench, and it's really nicely straight and square, which is excellent. No twists whatsoever, so that's really good. Next job I've got to do now is get my sanding stick and basically just get all these things sanded flush with the leading edge, and then just run it over here and get the capping strips flush with the trailing edge. They are pretty flush already actually, so it's not going to take a lot there, but the front needs a fair bit of sanding just because of the way the angles really. These capping strips almost don't quite fit that well onto this front dowel leading edge, but soon sand that out, so that's good. So that's going to wrap this video up. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and hope you're going to follow along. If you are into balsa, fixed wing, nitro, electric, this one's obviously going to be electric. Also a bit of FPV that I do on the channel, fixed wing FPV as well. Got a couple of FPV projects that I need to start on. But if you'd like that sort of thing, then please hit the subscribe button. It'd be great to have you on board. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and if you hit the bell icon, then you will be reminded if you're interested in this particular build. Then every time I release a video, you'll get a notification, and you can sit and watch it with a cup of tea or coffee, whatever you fancy. Thanks again to all the supporters of the channel. Thanks for all your comments. Stick them down below. I'll always get back to you. If you've enjoyed the video, you can help me out as well by hitting the like button. And I shall see you soon for part 3 of this series, which is where we're going to be starting to get the fuselage set up and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'll see you again soon for that one.